Hi folks, welcome to your latest MWIS Outlook that's updated on Tuesday the 16th of February. Now, south or southwesterly winds will dominate in the week ahead, which will bring frequent weather systems in from the Atlantic. The temperature not especially mild all the time, considering that wind direction. There will be some further snow on higher terrain and temporarily even lower down, but I think any lying snow at lower levels only very brief, if anything at all. A windy spell and some gales or severe gales across the mountains at times, just indications once we go a bit further ahead into next week that some drier conditions and more settled weather may try and develop. Now we'll start off with a run through the freezing level sequence, and this chart then showing you the height of 0 Celsius in metres. We've got the scale at the bottom. Once you're into the slightly darker blues, you're sort of getting a freezing level down to around 800 metres, which is sort of what's coming in across Ireland into Scotland during Wednesday. Slightly higher temperatures comparatively across England and Wales, probably just above freezing point to most of the highest tops. This then taking the story onwards through into Wednesday night. We've got a zone of milder air coming up from the south in amongst a warm sector of a frontal system, but a cold front is coming back in from the west and freezing levels will then lower again as we go into Thursday. A bit of uncertainty on the timing of this one. There might be quite a marked drop of freezing level for a while, especially in the Highlands where things go sub-zero even below 600 metres for a time, nearer to sort of 700 or 800 metres I suspect generally across England and Wales. But again, in some of the heavier precipitation that is around, it might just temporarily get some snow just down to lower levels than, say, 600 metres for a while. Onwards into Thursday evening and night, and similar sorts of values, sub-zero above around 800-900 metres or so, maybe just a little bit lower across Scotland, starting that way on Friday, and then the next zone of milder air coming in from the southwest gradually through the day pushes things above freezing to most higher tops, and some much milder air surges in, at least across the southern half of Britain, and that's where we go really into the weekend. It may just be that by the time we get to Sunday that some colder air again comes back around off the Atlantic. Not so sure about that at the moment. We shall see how that goes in the next few days. Synoptic charts then. This is Wednesday and we've got gales across the Scottish Highlands through much of the day. Windy across England and Wales, not quite up to gale force, but blustery on higher tops. One frontal system passing eastwards, another batch of rain likely to sweep up into Wales as the day goes on, and showery conditions across the western side of Scotland, some snow and some hail mixed in with these. Drier with higher cloud bases the further toward the eastern side of the Highlands you are. Now, I mentioned a cold front passing eastwards on Thursday, and again, a bit of uncertainty of the timing of this passage of the heaviest rain associated with it. It might well be focused across Wales and Pennine areas in the morning. It looks most likely that will be the case, but then some showers will follow in from the west, and a wraparound of a front bringing some maybe more frequent precipitation into western Scotland, and that snow at times falling and even lying below around 300 or 400 metres. A little bit more broken up in terms of that precipitation across the eastern side of the Highlands. It's a blustery day again, so be aware of significant wind chill across the higher terrain. Just to give you a feel for that weather sequence, this is just through Wednesday afternoon onwards into Thursday. There's the rain that comes up into Wales, the showers in western Scotland on Wednesday. Rain extends to many places on Wednesday evening and night. Some snow there showing up across the Highlands as it does so. And that front does a bit of a rotation as it passes eastwards. The colder air tucks in behind, some snow on its back edge to lower levels, and that's the idea of that zone of heavier rain moving across Pennine areas in the middle of the day. So more or less clearing in the Pennine regions into the afternoon, and then the showers that do just come in back from the west through Thursday afternoon. By the time we get to Friday, it's another very windy day, gales, if not even severe gales, across the mountains by this stage as the tightening of the isobars comes in from the Atlantic, the next frontal system piling in as well. This is dragging that milder air in with time, so that's the lift of freezing level as we've seen. Increasingly wet conditions developing as well across more western mountains, especially those that are south-facing hills, as these fronts do just run their way in. Driest for longest the further east and north that you go. Those fronts passing eastwards through into Saturday, maybe a bit of a ripple of a wave of a front still trailing across the southeast of Britain. Bit of a complicated tangle then following that, not so sure exactly what the detail is going to be across Western Britain and Ireland, bits of fronts in play. So precipitation remaining frequent, temperatures just coming down a little bit maybe by this stage. It all depends just where the relative movements of these things go to. Expect wet and windy conditions and maybe some snow on the highest terrain through Saturday. Again, it'll all depend where things get to. It still stays that rather unsettled picture into Sunday. Further fronts and bits of troughs just in play. So some areas of rain, some places getting away not so bad. The general idea of a southwesterly wind is still around. So wettest and lowest cloud bases across more western mountains, best of any breaks, and drier conditions the further east and northeast that you go. Now, thinking further ahead towards the end of the month, I think as we go into the early part of next week at least, still more of the same trying to come in on southwesterly patterns for a while at least, but some indications are more eager to start building higher pressure as we go further through that final week of February. This chart may be a little bit over-optimistic in how it sees the extent of higher than average pressure, which parks itself across Britain and Western Europe. We shall see how that develops. There's just a few indications there at least of things settling down, becoming drier, maybe still relatively mild at first, with maybe just a few indications still trying to drag some cooler conditions back into the mix as time goes on. But the main message just as we go towards the end of the month, the suggestion for now at least, is things may just be quieter and drier. We shall see if that holds true and update you in the Planning Outlook again on Friday. Thanks for watching today. Bye for now.